Well, hello there again. This is Kerry Karen, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be going over some of the settings within the back end of the BackupBuddy plugin by iThemes. BackupBuddy is a must-have plugin for WordPress in order to back up your WordPress websites and have access to those files should you need it in case of an emergency. So I have logged into the back end of my WordPress website, and I've opened up the BackupBuddy area. And you can see right over here in the sidebar, we have all of the different areas that BackupBuddy offers. Today, we're only going to be going over the settings area. So go ahead and click on the settings. Once you click on settings, the page will change and you will get your settings page. Now, the area of the settings page that we're going to discuss is which files to include or exclude from the backup. When you're creating your BackupBuddy backups, you want to exclude as many files as possible that are not going to be relevant to having in your backup to take additional space that's unneeded or create time that would take too long to back up. Now, the files that we decide to not include are files that are not going to matter, that we're not going to need. A perfect example of this might be if you have a live development area and you have different WordPress installations in different directories. In this case, this particular website, I've chosen to exclude all of the demo sites. So I have my primary site, which is the site that I do want to back up, but inside my files, I also have additional WordPress installations that I do not want to include in this backup. Instead, what I will do is install BackupBuddy on each of these installations and back them up individually. So if we hover over the question mark under File and Directory Defaults, we can see that if we click a directory name, we can navigate to the directories. If we click the red minus sign that is to the right of the directory, it places it in the exclusion list. So, for example, here's Demo 5, and if I click the minus, it adds it to the exclusions. And we can see that it already has been excluded and put over into my excluded area. Now, sometimes when you run BackupBuddy, you might run out of memory or the full backup doesn't take and it gives you an error message. And one of the ways that you can troubleshoot is to find out if you have any files that are being included that don't necessarily need to be included. So in the sidebar, we go ahead and click on Server Information. And I've already done that, and this is the page that comes up. It will actually come up on the server page first. From the server page, we're going to click on Files, and we're going to get our directory size map and our directory size listing. Now, the size listing is what we're going to look for to see if there's any files that we can exclude from our backup that aren't necessarily needed. So go ahead and click on Display Directory Size Listing. And when you do, this is the page that comes up. You'll see your server information. Now, as I mentioned before, and as you saw, we moved the Demo 5 into the excluded files. I am particularly fond of this page because you can see the size of the files that are being backed up, or in this case, not backed up if they're highlighted in the red and pink. Oftentimes what you will find, if you have a file that might be included that is not supposed to be included, like a copy of the directory that holds your copies of your backups, you don't want to be making backups of backups because that will just compound the amount of space that is needed each time you back up your files. So you can see that right here, my WP Content Uploads BackupBuddy Backups. That is, in fact, one of the folders that I have excluded, and that is one of the folders that includes all of my backups. Now, depending on what type of backup system you use, will determine also which ones to exclude. So we can see we have all of these files excluded. Most of them have to do with the Demo 5 site. Additionally, another file that you can often exclude, if we go back to our other settings page, another one that you can often exclude is your CGI bin. Now, if I open this file and I look inside, it's completely empty. Sometimes hosting companies will place information in here, but none of the information that is typically kept in the CGI bin is ever needed to restore or to migrate and have a good backup of your WordPress website. So that's another file that you can add to your excluded files. So I'm going to go ahead and click that right now. And you can see it added it to the top of the list here. Some of the other ones that you can exclude would be like your Google Analytics HTML files. You could exclude that if you wanted to. You can certainly exclude your licensing, your README files. And again, these are files that don't take up a whole lot of space, but they're pretty useless files and they really aren't needed at all to get a good copy of your website in order to reinstall it. So I will often, if I have a site that's giving me trouble, I will move every possible file that I don't need into the excluded directory. Okay, so as you can see, we still have all of our files excluded that we need excluded or that we want excluded. And you can test this and determine based on your own personal needs what files to exclude and which files to include. Some of the examples of things that I always will exclude are additional WordPress installation directories. I will also exclude any additional add-on domains that I have within a primary domain if I am stacking my accounts in the back end of my hosting. I do like to exclude my CGI bin, and oftentimes I will exclude folders that are including images that are outside of my WordPress installation. So I hope that this helped explain it a little bit of which files to move over and which ones not to. And that's the end of this training. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the chats.